We are reading the Mandukya Upanishad. This is our online class number 13 and we are in chapter 1. We are going to enter the 7th mantra today. In our last class, we said that we have to do self-analysis in the waking state. We have to do the self-analysis in the waking state. When we are called Vishwa, the waker. According to non-dual Vedanta, self-realization happens here and now. Here and now. One will lose one's identification with what is not self here and now. Here and now means in the waking state, when your name is what? Vishwa. Correct? This is what we have learnt last time. In the last class, we kept a suspense. The suspense is, when my actual self-realization happens, should I lose my house, my bank account, my car, and so on and so forth, here and now? That was the suspense. Well, those possessions, including our own beloved body, will have to go one day whether we want it or not. They do not depend on our sweet will. When will they all go? I need not answer. We all know it. Even in our sleep, in our dream, they all vanish. We do not take all these things into our dream, into our sleep. But don't worry, they will not go immediately after self-realization, here and now. After actual realization, you will be as real as a Vishwa, as real as a waker, as the same Mr. or Mrs. so-and-so, but you will know that you are not the name and form, Nama Rupa. You will know that you are not permanent as the bangle, but you are permanent as the gold. Even though your bangle name and form will be there, just one moment. It is okay. There something has to. So, you will know that you are not as permanent as the bangle name and form, but you are as permanent as the gold. Your bangle name and form will be there as they are. Your bangleness will go. Bangleness, this we stressed. Ness, this word is very important. Your bangleness will go. Your Vishwaness will go. This bangleness is nothing but transferring goldness into the bangle name and form. You thought that the name and form are true, but you will know that that was a mistake. That is why Sri Ramakrishna referred to his body as a pillowcase It's time now. Let us begin with the self-enquiry that will lead us to self-realization. A bit difficult reasoning here, but I have spread it out and tried to thrash out the corners and made them straight so that we can understand them easily. Now, we want self-enquiry that will lead us to self-realization. Take up yourself in the 3 states and analyze. You changed your name to waker, dreamer and sleeper. We are familiar with these words now. The Upanishad takes your permission to change your names to Vishwa in place of waker, Taijasa instead of dreamer, and Prajna instead of sleeper. Your CV or curriculum vitae or your biography so far is very, very limited by your passport name. But if you are called the waker, then it is very wide. It includes all the waking state, even though you are an individual. If you are Vishwa, it is very wide, like the waker. Once more, let me remind you that your 3 names will be, you as the waker are called Vishwa, you the dreamer Taijasa, and you the sleeper Prajna. And even though self-knowledge is possible in dream also, but we prefer that it should happen when we are awake. That means you, dear Vishwa, will have to analyze or inquire about whom? About you, the Vishwa. Vishwa will inquire about Vishwa, inquire into Vishwa. This is a riddle. No, this is not a riddle. Why? Because it is called self-enquiry. Vishwa has to inquire about itself. Clear? Vishwa will inquire about Vishwa because it is called self-enquiry. So, you are the object, you are the subject. You are not concerned about anything outside you, even in waking state. You have turned your gaze towards you and going inside and inside and inside further. When the Upanishad calls you, hello Vishwa, you know that it is calling you when you are awake and listening to the Mandukya Upanishad study. Correct? We will not highlight Taijasa or Prajna so much. But Taijasa is your name when you are dreaming, Prajna is your name when you are sleeping. That's all right. Suppose I ask you, who are you? You have to say, I am Vishwa. Why? Because that is your name. Not only that, because this question and answer are happening when you are awake. Who are you? I am Vishwa. So I am asking in my waking state and you are answering in your waking state. Clear? I will use the word Vishwa because it means any of us. Any of us. When I say I am Vishwa, I mean that I am in the waking state as the waker. When I say I am the waker, I mean that the consciousness is extrovert or Vahish Prajna, that is the Upanishadic Sanskrit word. I am the waker or I am Vishwa, that means my consciousness is extrovert. I am extrovert because of my identification with the physical body. And the moment I identify myself with the physical body and experience the physical world, I grow various characteristics in me about me. I say I am a human being, I am a male or a female, I am 45-year-old or 30-year-old, this is my CV, and. They are called my attributes or features, my introductions, my qualifications. And in Vedanta, these qualifications are my disqualifications. All the attributes are added to me, who am the consciousness. Then only I become Vishwa, the waker. Is it clear? Yes, it should be clear, because you, dear Vishwa, are awake and listening to the Mandukya Upanishad study in the waking state. Let us not forget that these attributes of yours are temporary. You become extrovert when you identify yourself with the physical body, which is temporary. When you withdraw yourself from the physical body, then your extrovertness is gone together with the physical body. Therefore, the extrovert nature is also temporary. How do we withdraw ourselves from our physical body? We go to sleep, we go to dream state, we don't take anything from this physical body. Our bank account does not convert itself into dream bank account. So therefore, they are temporary, either bank account in the waking state or in the dream state. They are temporary. Similarly, I am a human being only as long as I am identified with the human body, which is temporary. By the same logic, all the attributes, all the introductions of the human body are temporary. When I remove the body with these attributes, what will be left out? I am. From I am the body, if you remove the body, what happens? I am, I remain. You cannot add anything. Anything that you add is an attribute. So you say I am. This I refers to the consciousness, and am refers to the existence of that consciousness. The Chandogya Upanishad says, it is Atman, that is existence alone, that exists. It is the consciousness which does not have any attributes. I am the consciousness or the Turiyam. This consciousness is called Turiyam. If you add any other thing to Turiyam, you will become what? Vishwa. If you remove all the attributes, you become Turiyam or the consciousness. And if you add anything to that consciousness, even though you can't, but you by mistake you have to add, then you become Vishwa, Mr. So and so. Similarly, in the dream state, I am introverted because I am identified with the mind body and I have mind attributes. I am called Taijasa. Remove the attributes, who am I? I am. No state, but I am Turiyam. I am the fourth. In the sleep, you are Prajna, without attributes. That is why you enjoy happiness in sleep. And remove the condensed mass of the sleep state, what remains is Turiyam. And that Turiyam is I am. I need not do anything. I am already the Turiyam. The bangle need not do anything to become gold. Why? Because it is always gold. If we ask a question, what should I do to become Turiyam? Then we don't need to do anything because we are always consciousness. The bangle is always gold. That means it is never anything excepting gold. It is already gold. Similarly, I need not do anything, need not go to any other state or place to become Turiyam or the fourth or the consciousness. I am that. Then why do you call me a bangle? Why don't you call me gold? Just gold? Oh, my dear bangle, we may call you by any name. That is not your problem. But why do you call yourself a bangle? Why don't you call yourself gold, just gold? Self-enquiry. Why don't you do that? You don't do that because of your name and form and the utility value as the bangle. You don't do that because of your name and form, Vishwa name, Vishwa form, and the Vishwa utility. You are identified with this name, form, and utility. Similarly, O my dear Vishwa, you are always fourth, just the fourth, or the Turiyam. Why don't you stop calling yourself Mr. and Mrs. so and not the consciousness, the pure consciousness? Why don't you call yourself consciousness? That is because you are very much identified with your name, your look, and your self-worth in the society. Have you ever tried to ask this question? Am I the same innocent person who was born on such and such a day? And have I become somebody else with my name, my changing look, my changeful worth, which are all added ever since? There is a very interesting story in the Markandeya Purana of a queen named Madalasa. She was a knower of Brahman, but she lived in the household, married queen. The story is very illuminating. This is an episode of this queen and her husband, King Ritadhvaja. This couple, in due course of time, gave birth to 4 children. Their names were Vikranta, Subahu, Satrumardana, and Alarka respectively. Don't bother about their beautiful Sanskrit names, I will explain them. The king himself selected the first 3 names, whose meanings were: Vikranta means one who possesses great valor and courage. Subahu means one who has powerful and beautiful hands and shoulders. And the third one, Satrumardana, that means one who conquers the enemies. When the king used to select the names, the queen Madalasa used to laugh. And every time the king used to get irritated. So, irritated by her behavior, the king asked the queen to select the name herself for their 4th child. He thought, let me see what she does and why she was laughing. It was again a boy. She herself named the fourth son as Alarka, and she laughed again. It bewildered the king. Why did she laugh? And the worst part of the naming was that the name Alarka means mad dog in Sanskrit. He asked why such an outrageous name was given to the baby, while he himself gave the older ones beautiful and meaningful names. When their first son Vikrant was a baby in the cradle, the hands of the mother Madalasa rocked the cradle even as she sang lullabies full with words of wisdom to calm the crying baby. One of those wonderful verses run as follows. "O my dear, don't cry. You are ever pure, and you are nameless and formless. The sorrow for which you are crying is related to your physical body and mind, which are made of 5 gross elements. They are changeful, they come and go. But, O my sweet one, you in your pure nature are beyond these changes. You are that pure Atman. You are not the body, not the mind. So don't cry. Shuddhosi, you are ever pure, immaculate. Buddhosi, you are ever awakened, illumined. Niranjanosi, you are spotlessly pure. So don't cry, my darling." Madalasa's holy words had great effect on the babies. These words were words about the divine self in them. They had no religious stigma, no sectarian bias, and no limiting human values attached to them. It reminded the babies of their real nature. Rather, it kept them always aware of their real nature and did not allow their mind to be misled by our worldly ideas, which make us worldly. Her first 3 children grew up with spiritual knowledge, not religious knowledge, but spiritual knowledge through her cradle songs. But then, who can avoid the unfailing effect of such powerful truth? It is truth and truth alone. The young princess grew into highly spiritual ones, and one by one left the palace to dedicate their lives for self-realization. The king was alarmed by these events. He wanted a successor to his throne, as it should happen. So he approached the Queen Madalasa and begged her for an inheritor, an heir. The great Brahmavadini, the great realized soul, the great mother, did not disappoint the king and also did not do injustice to her 4th son. From his cradle songs, Alarka, the 4th son, was introduced into the path, passing through the path of worldly prosperity and ending in spiritual realization. He became a great king following the path of Dharma, Raja Dharma, and the holy duties of a king. We may remember that even after naming the 4th son by herself with a bad name, a mad dog, the queen herself laughed. The king asked her why she had chosen a bad name for a little one and why did she laugh again. Madalasa laughed again and said, the name has nothing to do with the person. I laughed because you and we are trying to name the Atman who is unnameable, which cannot be named. It is for the sake of vyavahara, communication only, we, the poor mortals, coined the names. Realistically speaking, the omnipresent self is beyond names and forms. To him, what name can we give? So, my dear king, don't be under the false impression that the names you have chosen for your 3 kids are of more value than the one I gave to the last one. They are vacharambhana vikara namadheyam, the Upanishad says. For the sake of using words, we use these names. They don't make any sense when we compare them with the Atman. When the worldly transaction itself is illusory by nature, one can be called by any illusory name and can give that name to a gross body, which is a combination of 5 changeful elements. So it is absurd to think that the illusory name of our 4th son, O king, Alarka, has bad meaning. Since the worldly transaction itself is unreal, any name would serve the purpose. And here ends that story. What we have seen is still funnier in this world what we see. We have cats and dogs named Einstein, Newton, etc. We have females with male names and males with female names. Even if you name your son Einstein or Krishna or your daughter Mary Curie or Kali, they do not become an Einstein or Kali or Mary Curie. They are what they are. If it is so true about worldly names to worldly bodies, what can we say about giving a name to the unnameable Atman? That is the essence, gist of this story. That is the teaching here. Now we go back to our discussion. Let us argue this way. Suppose I am a bit scared about losing my car, etc. after self-realization. So let me be more cautious and get information about something more practical for my practical purposes. Is there any way to get back to our Vishwa state again? That would be our inquiry. That would be the curiosity. Can we go back to our Vishwa state after realization? You are smiling, yes. Why not? Let us be intelligently alert and let us have a second line of defense, a plan B, right? This is a universal calculation, an universal mindset. The Upanishad says, yes, there is a way, a very simple way. Just get back the attributes on you again. You are Vishwa. When you negate or disprove or refute the attributes or features of yourself as a human body, you are the consciousness. Therefore, the Upanishad mantra 7 is negating all attributes. And what a fascinating and self-fulfilling way of negating or denying the attributes, the mistakes. And to be sure, you have an escape route always available to regain your Vishwahood. Don't worry. When I negate all attributes of the Vishwa, then what remains? Tat Tvam Asi. You are that. You, my dear Vishwa, you are Turiyam. See the significance of saying, you, my dear Vishwa, you are the consciousness, a Turiyam. That means you are consciousness. You are consciousness even when you are Vishwa. Even when you are awake. Even when you are listening to the Mandukya Upanishad study. Right? The bangle is gold, even though it is still the bangle. You are consciousness, even when you are Vishwa, you are Mr. John or Miss Jessica. You don't have to become consciousness. You are consciousness, you are Turiyam. As the bangle is gold, even when it is a bangle. Similarly, you are pure consciousness or Atmana Turiyam even when you are Vishwa. Clear? Actually speaking, as we will know it afterwards, you must know that you are Turiyam in your Vishwa state itself. You must know that you are pure consciousness exactly when you are still an individual human being. Otherwise, Vedanta will fail as a liberating philosophy. You must know that you are that pure consciousness Atman, even when you are an individual human being called Vishwa. Otherwise, Vedanta will fail as a liberating philosophy. Sri Ramakrishna sang, O Divine Mother, it will bring very bad name for you, and nobody will ever thereafter pray to you if I fail. Vedanta does not want to fail, and most importantly, Vedanta does not want you to fail, my dear Vishwa. Vedanta does not want you to fail. That is the essence. Again, we may ask, what I have to do to know that I am Turiyam? To know. Earlier I asked what I have to do to become Turiyam. So we have seen that we cannot do anything and we don't become Turiyam. We are already Turiyam. But we don't know that we are Turiyam. That is why we need self-enquiry. And from various angles, the Upanishad is drawing our attention to the only one fact, that you should not fail. So I am asking now, what I have to do to know that I am that consciousness? And again the same answer the Upanishad gives. You won't have to do anything. Even you won't have to know that your characteristics or attributes are not you. But the mistake has to go. The mistake that you and your characteristics, which are called upadhis, are a mistake. You and your characteristics are one, we think. And that is a mistake. You have to negate the characteristics or upadhis, your identification with your upadhis. I and my body are one and the same. I and my upadhi or characteristic or feature called the body are one and the same. This mistake has to go. We have seen that. The characteristics are changeful But the gold inside that, the consciousness inside that is unchanging. So the Upanishad in its 7th mantra precisely does that. This is a mantra of vital importance for non-dual Vedanta. This is very dear to the heart of all Vedantins. This mantra is the support in our life in order to properly perform all so-called worldly duties. And this mantra is the support in death. Arthur Schopenhauer wrote, "How entirely does the Upanishad breathe throughout the Holy Spirit of the Vedas? How is everyone who by a diligent study of its Persian Latin has become familiar with that? How does every line display its firm, definite, and throughout harmonious meaning? From every sentence, deep, original, and sublime thoughts arise, and the whole is pervaded by a high and holy and earnest spirit. In the whole world there is no study except that of the originals, so beneficial and so elevating as that of the Upanishads. It has been the solace of my life. It will be the solace of my death." In the same breath, Paul Dawson wrote, "On the tree of wisdom there is no fairer flower than the Upanishads, and no finer fruit than the Vedanta philosophy." Vedanta is one of the most valuable products of the genius of mankind in its researches of the eternal truth. It was here that for the first time the original thinkers of the Upanishads found it, when they recognized our Atman, our innermost individual being, as the Brahman, the inmost being of the universal nature and of all her phenomenon. The Upanishads have tackled every fundamental problem of life. They have given us an intimate account of reality. The Upanishads have tackled every fundamental problem of life. We are entering the treasure house where lies the treasure of all treasures, the most valuable treasure available in this human world of ours. I will read the original Sanskrit mantra. We have already once read it. Then we read the meaning of the mantra again, and let us remember the meaning in order to continue with our studies further. Nanta pragnam na bahish pragnam, no bhayata pragnam na pragnana ghanam, na pragnam na pragnam, adrishtam avyavaharyam agrajyam alakshanam, achintyam avyapadeshyam, ekatma pratyayasaram, prapanchopashamam, shantam shivam advaitam, chaturtham manyante, sa atma savigneyaha. That is the 7th mantra of this Upanishad, for which we gave such elaborate introduction in 2.5 classes. Before I give the translation, I will advise you to remember that I am going to use the word conscious, not consciousness. Be careful about that. It is very important. We will be using the word conscious but not consciousness, because this Upanishadic mantra is negating all those things whatever is not consciousness, whatever are not consciousness. They may be conscious, they may appear to be conscious, but they are not consciousness. So the translation will always use the word conscious, not consciousness. Most of the ideas have been already learned by us during the introduction and also in the study of the 3 states in the earlier 6 mantras. So most of the things we know in a positive way that they exist. Now the meaning will show us that they do not exist. They appear to exist, but they do not really exist. That is what is called relative existence. Therefore, these are the things we have to remember that we are going to negate all relative existences and we are going to negate all those things which appear to be conscious, but they are not consciousness. So now the meaning of the mantra. The first thing is that they consider the fourth to be that which is na antaprajnam, not conscious of the internal world. See, always not. Na antaprajnam, not conscious of the internal world. Na bahishprajnam, nor conscious of the external world. Conscious, not consciousness. Na ubhayata prajnam, not conscious of both the worlds. Na prajnana ghanam, nor conscious of the condensed mass of deep sleep. Na pragyam, nor conscious. Na aprajnam, nor unconscious. Adrishtam, which is unseen. Avyavaharyam, which is beyond empirical dealings. Agrashyam, beyond the grasp of the organs of action. Alakshanam, which is not inferable. Achintyam, which is unthinkable. Avyapadeshyam, which is indescribable. Ekatma pratyaya saram, whose valid proof consists in the single belief in your own self. Belief in your own self. Prapancha upashamam, in which all phenomena cease. And Shantam, which is unchanging, Shivam, auspicious, and Advaitam, non-dual. Saha Atma, that is yourself. Savigneyaha, you should know that. You don't need to know the Atman, you should know that you are Atman. The Upanishad starts with a negative description actually. Actually it is negative because it is contradictory to what the Upanishad itself has taught in the beginning. There it said in the first pada or feature of Atman is Bahishprajna, or consciousness turned outward. Here the Upanishad is saying it is not turned outward. Why? Because it is trying to reach Turiyam, which is not any of these states. It is trying to reach the goal which is not the bangle, not the ring, not the chain, which can remain without them. That is why it is like that. So Sri Krishna says in the Gita that they are all in me, but I am not in them. This is the same idea here. Hence it is negating the states with all their attributes or upadhis. More questions on this will be answered slowly. Similar is the negation of or denial of the second quarter of Atman being turned inward, Nanta Prajna. This cannot go together with Turiya. And then it is also negating the Atman being one with the deep sleep state. It is helping us to recognize Turiyam as it is. These three states are formats of our own experiences, changing layers of our own experiences. The Upanishad helped us to look into the construction of our own experience layers. Then it showed how to analyze those changeful layers of experiences from an impartial point of view, not getting engaged or involved in this. And finally, it will help us to reach the self or Atman by negating the empirical experiences. As we have told, this mantra is taking up the fourth aspect, the Chaturtha Pada of what? Of Atman. This Atman has 4 quarters, thus it has been said in the second mantra. Has 4 quarters, 4 features, 4 aspects, 4 characteristics. Anyway, you can translate it. All the earlier 3 padas or quarters have been defined as consciousness associated with particular states. But in respect of the 4th pada, the Upanishad draws the conclusion that the consciousness is not associated with any particular state here. All the 3 states are over. Let us recall that the first pada was consciousness associated with waking state. Second pada, consciousness associated with dream state. Third, consciousness associated with sleep state. So in all the 3 states, the consciousness had its particular tag or associations. The consciousness was a particularized or a specific consciousness with its changing adjectives like waking consciousness, dreaming consciousness, and sleep consciousness. In the 4th pada, in this mantra, the Upanishad did not say that. Sounds familiar? Yes. We agreed to respect these sentences. The Upanishad says so, or the Upanishad does not say that. We have to respect this. So the Upanishad did not say that Turiya is associated with any state or any tag. Turiyam is only consciousness without any association, because it is consciousness. There is a misconception that this Turiyam is available in meditation or samadhi state. Most of the time we misunderstand that. Well, that may be true in respect of yoga and other disciplines. But in non-dual Vedanta, when we are studying this mantra, we have to forget those things. The Upanishad did not say that. So what was the understanding? Since the Upanishad did not say that, we will not and cannot accept that as valid. It may be that a physicist has said that, or a psychiatrist or psychologist has said that, but that is not a proof in Vedantic argument. So please do not look for a counter argument from the laboratories of chemistry, etc. You are listening to Vedanta, stick to it and continue to listen. Then what is Turiya? See, our queries are changing. Earlier we asked what to do to become Turiya. And then we asked how to know that Turiya. Now we are asking what is Turiya. See the evolution in progress. The mind is evolving. We have made that much progress by now. Turiya is not that consciousness which is not associated with any particular state, but it is that consciousness which is present in and through all individual states. Gold is not that which is associated with bangle only, or ring only, or chain only. Gold is that which is available in and through all of them, present in all of them. We may remember, I told in one of our earlier classes that we have to count gold as the fourth. We are trying to prove why it is so now. Let us follow the lead. When waking state is there, consciousness is also there. It has to be there. Didn't we say that? Yes. Similarly, when dream state is there, the same consciousness is there. Again, when deep sleep state is there, it is the same consciousness which is there, which has to be there. That is to say, when you, my dear Vishwa, are there, Turiya or consciousness is there. Similarly, it is the same with Tejas and Prajna. The same consciousness is there in all of them. So what do we learn? Now we continue to change our states. We are not always, not all the time asleep or not all the time awake. That means the states change. So they are impermanent. But the consciousness does not come and go. Nodeti nastameti. It does not rise, does not set. Every place and every time are there inside it. In this way, it is also understood that Vishwa, Taijasa and Prajna, or the waker, the dreamer and the sleeper, are all impermanent. Each of them changes, or each of them disappears at least once in 24 hours, right? The waker disappears, sleeper comes, dreamer comes. At least once in a day it happens. Everyone knows that. Turiya is not available only in Samadhi. It is there, but it is not available only in Samadhi. If it is available only in Samadhi, then there is a problem. Then it will not be available in any other state. Then it will be finite. It will not be infinite. Pure consciousness is available only in Samadhi means it is finite. It should be everywhere and in all the times, past, present and future. Clear? The first three padas are changeful reality. They are subject to change, they come and go. Turiyam is unchanging reality, consciousness. It does not undergo any change. Take the example of the bangle, chain and ring. All are changeful. You take the gold and make a bangle, melt the bangle and make a ring, again melt the ring and make a chain. So, when the gold appears to be a bangle, the chain and the ring are not there. When you reshape the bangle into a ring, the bangle and the chain are not there. Again, when you reshape the ring into a chain, the bangle and the ring are not there. One goes, another comes. When one is there, two others are not there. Suppose we compare the bangle, ring and chain with the three states, waking, dream and sleep. You can never get all the three states together. You cannot say I am sleeping, waking, dreaming at the same time. Very big problem. You should be in only one of the three states. And as the gold continues to be there in all the three names and forms of the bangle, the ring or the chain, similarly you, pure consciousness, you are there in all the three changeful states. There is a logic used by Vachaspati Mishra in the Bhashya Bhamati in the Brahma Sutras, which states that which continues to be in the changeful things without itself undergoing any change whatsoever is surely different from the changeful things. Different. Fourth. It is called fourth because it is different. Even though it is there. The logic can be made complicated by the jugglery or puzzle of words. But the commentator has provided an example which makes any stressful explanation easy. That is a wonderful logic there. Suppose you take up a flower garland. Now you see that there is a continuous silk thread running through all the different individual flowers. The flowers are different from each other. They are all also different from the thread. Now the logic stands in four parts. The flowers are different from each other but not different or away from the thread. Right? Okay. Number 2. Then the second logic is no flower is different or away from the thread. Right? 3. Each flower is different from all the flowers and also different from the thread, but not away from the thread. And now the fourth and the deciding one. It is the thread is not any of the flowers and at the same time it is not away from any or all of the flowers. The Atman is not any of these states and at the same time it is not away from any or all of these states, but at the same time it is different from all of them. 3 states and this different gold or the Atman. This is the fourth. So we will stop here today. We have come to the end of our time. But afterwards also it is a wonderful analysis which continues and continues for a long time until we finally know that we are consciousness. Thank you very much. We have taken 2 minutes more time, but it was worth it.